Good morning, everybody. It's Barb Katie here. It's good to see you this Monday morning. It is now the third week of the new year, and I thought we'd talk a little bit about how things are going in this third week. They say it takes 21 days to change a habit, so hopefully some of us have a habit that is becoming more comfortable and more part of our everyday life as a result of making some decisions to do different during the new year. We talked a little bit about different ways to find more occasions to move a little bit more, and I hope that was successful for you. I know I find when I'm inefficient, I get more steps in, which is sort of good in a way because several trips to and from the garage or to and from the laundry or wherever does increase the number of steps you take while you're in and about the house doing your daily routines. And I really have been cognizant of that this last week as I looked at different ways to increase steps. I've spent more time because it's been pretty bitter cold here on my recumbent bike, moving a little bit more every day in spurts of 15 to 20 minutes each, which surprisingly adds up as the day proceeds. Today, what I thought we talk about is the degree to which each of us may choose to plan our meals for each day. I'm sort of a creature of habit. Based on last week, that probably is no great surprise to anybody. Habits bring me comfort in a busy daily life. I find that putting some things on autopilot is helpful. And with that in mind, I began looking at what I normally eat during the week. I know one of the things that really fascinates me when I look at different food plans offered different places by different people is all of the variety that they offer for each and every meal. And that's wonderful if that's what you like to do and what helps you stay focused and on task. It doesn't work too well for me. And what I have developed to start this year is something I used to do pretty much routinely when I have started my TOPS journey and restarted it and restarted it and restarted it when obstacles came my way and I needed to make some corrections. With that in mind, making choices for every single meal, for every single snack, is just not helpful for me because it takes too much time. I tend to like to be able to have basic choices on hand that are a little bit varied, but not so much. And they become my go-to experiences for meal planning for a week. For example, I love yogurt and fresh fruit. So I try to always have on hand, and I prefer Greek yogurt. I actually prefer plain Greek yogurt because I use it in a lot of other things as a substitute for different other dairy products, and sometimes for a fat, like I'll use Greek yogurt to substitute for sour cream. But at any rate, I like Greek yogurt and fruit. So that is something that I can grab for breakfast that takes not a lot of thought and not a lot of time. I also like peanut butter with a little bit of honey on whole wheat toast. Again, that does not take much time. It's readily available and becomes a go-to. Uh, in similar fashion, I like a scrambled egg on an English muffin with a piece of Canadian bacon. That if you're familiar with McDonald's, you probably know that's an Egg McMuffin. And I usually don't put cheese on it simply because I'm not a huge fan of cheese with my eggs unless I'm doing something like a quiche. But again, at any rate, those are three go-to things. I have a crunchy cereal that I like, and I usually eat it with almond milk. And I love oatmeal. So right there are 5 different things. I can vary it. I can eat the same one for several days in a row. Whatever my whim is, it's a grab, available, tasty, evaluated meal that frees me from planning. Some mornings I feel like cereal. Some mornings I feel like yogurt. Some mornings I feel like a cooked breakfast. You're probably pretty much the same. And if you have those things available, you know the basic content of that meal when you're trying to create balance and put into frame about what your target food consumption for the day is. And then when I go to lunch, especially during the wintertime, I'm a huge, huge fan of homemade soup. I have several different soup recipes that I particularly like to use, and I can can them in serving size containers. When I say can, I mean freeze for the soup. And that way, if I want a bowl of soup for my lunch, I just have to take it out of the freezer, defrost it, warm it up, and enjoy. With that, I usually add a piece of fresh fruit. It's a nice way for me to get a little bit of a sweet taste because I do try to watch the refined sugars in my food plan only because I seem to be very sensitive to refined sugar. And when I eat it, the message my brain tends to want to send out is more. And I certainly don't need that. Whereas if I choose a more complex carb, and not that fruit is that particularly complex, but it does have a lot of fiber for the most part in it, which creates a feeling of satiety that's helpful. Right now, I have a fruit bowl on the counter. Again, this helps me throughout the whole day, so I don't have to go and do the thing that I don't handle well, which is graze at the refrigerator or at the cupboard door. I need to know what things are there and available for me as I continue through the day. Fruit is not that I don't like it because I actually love fruit, but I tend to forget it for some reason. So I have found that making it available in a bowl where I can look at it is quite helpful. And I also discovered that if I put the number of servings of fruit for each day in the bowl, I never have to really think about what am I going to grab as a snack. I use my fruit very often as my snack throughout the day. Now, sometimes for lunch, if I'm going to do something like a salad, I do a combination of fruit and nuts in with all the vegetables that I choose to put into the salad and use a sort of a honey vinaigrette with it, which has very few calories and is quite tasty. So again, breakfast, I know I have choices available. Lunch, I pretty much know I have choices available. Sometimes I plan for a sandwich at lunch, and there are all kinds of different choices you can make in that regard as well. So basically, all I'm left with having to plan is an evening meal. And generally speaking, not always, but pretty much generally speaking, every day, my dinner is going to have a serving of protein between 3 and 4 ounces of some type. I tend to love to do chicken or fish as my primary go-tos. Occasionally, I'll do beef. Occasionally, I'll do pork of some kind. But chicken and fish in its many, many varieties tend to be my first choices for protein. And after you've gone through the choices for protein, it's a matter of what starches you have to enjoy, what veggies you have to enjoy. And I usually have a salad at dinner of light crispy vegetables just because I love chewing satisfaction. And that's a good way to be able to get that chewing satisfaction. I try to make the carbs I eat at dinner complex because they're going to help me with energy through the rest of the evening and through the night as I'm sleeping, and tend to not get me into the nighttime grazing situation that can befall us sometimes, so that I don't have to spend a huge amount of my time obsessing over what I'm going to eat. When I do that, I seem to get myself all tied up into knots. Well, maybe I should have 3/4 a cup of this and 1/4 cup of that. Maybe I should have 2.5 ounces of this or 1 ounce of that. I really don't like spending that much time on the tedious, for me, weighing and measuring. I tend to like to know what the portion size is for the food product. And that takes initial measuring, certainly, and additional weighing, certainly. But if you have a repertoire of things you normally choose to eat, and we are creatures, I think, of routine and habit, it makes it so much easier. Like I can look at a certain dinner and know, okay, that is so many protein, so many carbs, so many veggies, so many fats, so many fruits, and dairy is the additional choice that I sometimes use for various meals, just because I enjoy milk. I tend to like, if I'm doing skim milk, I like it extremely cold. I'll even put ice cubes in it because to me it adds to the flavor of the milk to have it very, very cold. I do eat a lot of nut-based milk instead. I enjoy the taste of it. I don't have an allergy. I'm not lactose intolerant, but I enjoy the taste of it and the variety it produces. I particularly like using coconut milk in things like pumpkin pie recipes or custard recipes, or even quiches. I find it to translate well into those dishes. So I guess what I was thinking about was make your plan to eat healthy something that works for your lifestyle, and always include in it foods that you really like and enjoy. If we are watching our intake of food on a daily basis, I really feel it is so helpful if we can sit down and enjoy foods we absolutely like eating. Then it does not seem like a chore. It seems like a pleasure. I can sit down and say, oh, all my favorite foods are right here. I'm going to really enjoy this meal instead of, oh, well, I'm trying to watch what I'm eating and I'm going to pick these foods whether I like them or not. I can remember back in the olden days when I was very young, it seemed everybody ate tuna fish all the time. And I like tuna. I particularly like grilled tuna. Uh, but this was the tuna out of the can, which, serves a purpose. I remember tuna casseroles. I'm sure all of you do too. And they weren't exactly calorie friendly, but they filled the gap before payday sometimes for my family. I don't know about yours. At any rate, it seemed like everybody that was on the diet ate dry tuna out of a can after they rinsed the oil off of it. If they had bought oil pack, probably by mistake at the grocery store, and then they ate a lot of cottage cheese. I like cottage cheese. It's not high on my list of, I'm excited to have that on my plate, but I like cottage cheese. There are very few foods I don't like. But I have really enjoyed building a variety of quick and convenient foods to help me on my journey to the best health I could possibly achieve. It frees my day for other concerns and other activities and gives me energy throughout the day. I've learned which foods stay with me and which foods don't last very long. And that's important because it keeps you from wanting to graze between meals when you're eating in a balanced fashion. And it's a good thing for your body overall to always eat in a balanced fashion. If it's something that I'm going to be living the rest of my life doing, I want to be sure that it's something I enjoy. I can't remember who it was that said, eat the best and leave the rest. And I think that's a pretty good way of looking at it. When you sit down, are you eating the best for you, not for anybody else, but are you eating the best? Things you like and enjoy that are good for you and help you get through your day in the right way and keep your body functioning the way it should. I hope you are. If we're going to need, and we are, to monitor our food intake throughout the rest of our life, then let's build good habits so that it becomes more automatic and fill it with foods that we prefer, that we enjoy. You can always shake it up so you don't get into a rut by altering which food you're using in that particular meal. But starches are starches. Pick a starch you like. For the meat and vegetable components you're throwing into the planning stage for your dinner. Do the same thing for your breakfast. Do the same thing for your lunch and for snacks in between. I know this is a broken record. I know we've all tried it again and again and again. Still yet, I don't think we can find ourselves enough that we need to make sure that the journey we on not only brings us better health, but brings us a degree of happiness along with it. Otherwise, why make the effort? If it's something you dislike, chances are good you're going to give up on it much more quickly. If things are really enjoyable, chances are you'll want to continue. So when it comes to meal planning for me, as I look at my plans for the foreseeable future, I'm pretty good with breakfast and lunch. I know foods that I really like that are convenient for me, that I can grab and go or whatever. And I'm going to continue to enjoy those because they fit well into my schedule. And I'm going to shake it up for variety's sake for dinner, because very often I'll have company for dinner. This week is a classic example. My next door neighbors are moving and out of state, and they needed a place to stay until they could finish up a few things they had dangling. So I've had 4 extra people in my house now for several days. And I told all of them, I said, you're welcome here. The door's wide open for you. I'll take charge of dinner and you all can fend for yourself for breakfast and lunch. And it's actually worked out pretty well. My goodness. I can tell the weather is changing because my allergies are acting up a little bit today. And we've all had a really great time being together and sharing my little house. My little house sometimes is very quiet, but this week it's been full of laughter and joy in abundance. And that's really, really nice. So from me to you, don't eat food you hate. Eat food you love and make it easy on yourself so that you can continue to build good, healthy habits that when the journey is nearing its conclusion, you will have the tools you need to continue living your life in the healthiest way possible. And may it be a long, happy, and prosperous life. I will talk to you later. Bye for now.